Good afternoon. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you.
Do you mind just confirming your name and date of birth for me?
I'm Cecilie Marshall, and April 25th, 1994.
Perfect. I'm in the right room. So I'm Holly, and I'm the dietetic intern on staff. And I'm here today to just kind of get you set up for going home. I bet you're excited about that. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, most patients usually are pretty ready by this point. So my goal for us today is to go over your discharge plan so that you have a plan going home and you kind of know what to eat and you feel comfortable with that. And what questions do you have for me before we get started?
Nothing at this point.
Okay. Well, throughout our whole session, if you want to interrupt me with anything, feel free, because it's all about you understanding and kind of knowing where to go from here. So our meeting today should just take about no longer than 10 minutes. And like I said, the goal is just to develop a plan that you feel really comfortable with. Before we kind of talk through what that might look like, do you have any goals that you want to tell me about in terms of going home and following up with the surgery?
Nothing like right now. I think the primary goal going into this was weight loss and continuing on with that and keeping the weight off.
Absolutely. So you want to set yourself up in a way that allows you to achieve that goal. Yeah, that's great, because that's exactly, we're going to talk about some ways to give you the tools to take it home and kind of so that you're equipped to do it on your own, so that you don't need us. And that's what we'll do. So, let's see. What about, I want to ask you, so there's lots of things, as you know, I know you're well versed in the Roux-en-Y bypass surgery, and you're well aware that there's lots of things that are going to need kind of special attention and just kind of some guidelines to follow in order to produce the most successful outcome. So, and we're gonna walk. I have a handout that I'll send you home with, but we'll walk through it so that you can kind of figure out any questions that you might have. And so, first of all, I want to congratulate you, because there's different stages of this following this surgery, the diet stages, and you have made it through diet stage 1. So that's something to be proud of. And we, upon going home, are going to send you into stage 2. So you are going to enter a phase. Why don't you first tell me what you know about? Do you know anything about the different stages?
Not right now.
Not right now. Perfect. Well, that's why I'm here. So we'll help you kind of understand what's happening next. So the next 2 weeks is you are going to be on a liquid diet. Are you familiar with a liquid, what that means?
Yes, just what I've been following since the surgery. No solid foods to help me digest it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you already have an understanding of what that might look like. Good. Tell me what you know about a clear liquid diet.
Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So stage 2, which like I mentioned is what you're heading into, that is going to be a combination of a clear liquid diet and some more solid type liquids. So it'll be important that we differentiate those two. So a clear liquid diet involves things like broth, chicken broth, Jell-O counts in that category, diet Jell-O. So those are some examples of clear liquids, and then the more solid liquids include things like yogurt, skim milk, like a whey protein blend with water. So does that sound comfortable?
Yes.
Do you understand the difference? Okay. Great. And then it'll be in that stage 3 where you get to move to things that are more like pureed foods or ground up protein sources. Great. Okay. So at this point, what questions do you have for me from what we've gone through so far?
How long will I need to follow stage 2?
Yeah.
Before I can start introducing heavier.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are on day 2 right now, and tomorrow we'll begin stage 2. day 3, and that will last about a week.
Okay.
About a week. Yeah. So in terms of following this diet and what we've talked about so far, do you have any concerns about how that might look or anything related to your surgery?
Nothing that I can think of right now.
Great. Do you mind if I tell you a little bit about what some of the concerns my other patients have had in the past?
Definitely.
Just to give you some ideas of things in case. So in the past, and just typically with my patients that have just had this surgery, a lot of times individuals will worry about things like getting enough protein or avoiding vomiting or stretching out their pouch, getting enough liquid. Do any of those things sound like something you might want to talk about?
Definitely. With like the clear liquid diet, how will I be able to get enough protein when it doesn't contain as much as more not clear liquids and following on? Like, how will my intake of protein impact like that first week?
Sure, that's a really phenomenal question. So remember, and I don't think I outlined this as clearly as I wanted to, and again, you'll go home with this, but so that first week, stage 2, you are going to start on 24 ounces of the clear liquids, and then in addition, you will have 24 ounces of those more full liquids, so the yogurt or the protein. So one trick in order to obtain enough protein in that first week is that you'll want to choose like a supplement or a whey protein powder that contains a really high amount of protein, or focusing on selecting yogurt brands that contain higher protein. And I can help you steer you in the right direction of some brands that are really good and that people have found to be not only high in protein but also palatable. So that's a really good question. Yeah. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, and having help deciding what to pick would be very helpful.
Great. I would love to help you with that. And you'll also have my contact information. So if anything comes up and you need to ask me more questions, that's perfectly fine.
I also had a question on how moving to more full liquids, if that will, I guess, cause any nausea or vomiting when I make the change.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So you bring up a really great point, because avoiding vomiting is going to be a really important goal for you in order to produce the most successful outcomes. And so there are a couple tricks that I'll just remind you of, and some patients find it helpful to stick this is going to be some of the goals and tricks for avoiding some of the complications that can get in the way, and some people like to stick it on their fridge even as a reminder, but things like eating slowly, taking small bites, taking small sips. And then another thing is avoiding carbonated drinks.
Oh, okay.
Can you think of why that might be helpful? There's no right or wrong answer.
Well, because, it just it makes intuitive sense that carbonated drinks will cause more significant reaction in the stomach. Sure. It'll make it more acidic. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, totally. I put you on the spot there. That was a great answer. Yeah. Well, great. Do you mind if I have you kind of just summarize what we've talked about, so that I just want to make sure you have a really good understanding going home?
Definitely. So in this first week, I start with the clear liquid, which is the broths, and I want to try to take slow sips and be really slow and intentional about eating. And then throughout the week, I'll transition more into not clear liquids, but still more of the brothy. But I can start to add in yogurts and different sorts of protein, shakes, I assume.
Yeah.
And then after that week, I can start introducing more solid foods with it.
Absolutely. So I have good news for you in that you summarized that perfectly. However, I have good news for you in that starting on day 3, following surgery, you can you're still on the clear liquids, 24 ounces of the clear liquids, but you're also on 24 ounces of those more solid liquids.
Okay, so both, 48 ounces within the course of the day.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then it, like you alluded to, once you make it through that first week, then that's when you'll get to add you'll up your quantities to more like up closer to 64 ounces. And you'll also get to add in some of those more like pureed proteins or really finely diced or ground proteins. So yeah, that you nailed it. I feel good that you have a good understanding. Do you feel confident?
Yes. I think I would still need help deciding on like what protein powders and that sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if it sounds good to you, I will compile a list for you to provide you with some options. Yeah. So what other questions do you have for me?
I think that's it at this point. I think I understand phase 2 very well. I might have more questions later on about phase 3 and
absolutely
what sorts of purees and the different options there.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great idea for you to take it kind of step by step and just worry about one chapter at a time. Like I said, you've already made it through stage 1, and that's great, and it sounds like you've got a really firm understanding of stage 2, so I feel great about where we are, and I'm glad that you do too. Thanks, Cecilie.